So at this stage of our program now where we can, let's run it, would be a good example. We can get cookies and we can buy the auto clicker. So you can click for cookies, buy the auto clicker, and it takes it away, but it doesn't actually do anything. So we want to give it that functionality now. I'm keeping my auto clicker price at 5 just for now until I've tested everything to do with the auto clicker, and then I'll put it back to the price that I want. So we actually need to start adding a thread. So threading lets you run 2 parts of the program at the same time, or more than 2 parts of the program at the same time if you have multiple threads. So we first need to import a couple of things. So we want to import threading so we can do that functionality. We also want to import time because we're going to have a second delay every time we run something to do with the auto clicker. So we're not just getting it instantly. We want that bit of time delay. So now we've done that, on a new line we want to create a brand new function, and this one we'll just call it my thread. This is going to be what our thread is. So what is our thread going to do? Well, it's going to work with cookies, so we need to get our global cookies, and we can have it so it always runs using a while true just like that, but I personally don't like using while true. Just to give us a little bit more functionality, I'm just going to create a new function called running equals true. And then if we decide to add something like an exit button or something like that, then we can just add, we can just change that variable to false, and that will break our loop. So it's just a lot more powerful. And you can do something like this called while running, and it will always take this as a true, or if you prefer, you can just add the true like that. So now we've got our loop constantly running. What do we want to do now? We're just going to do a time.sleep 1. So this will do every second, and then we'll print running. This is just so we can test our thread is working. So this is what we want our thread to do at the moment. Now we need to create our thread, and best time to create your thread is probably at the end once the window is created. So how do we start by creating our thread? Well, we only need a couple of lines of code. So first we need to give our thread a name. I'm going to call it counter because it's counting up. And it's threading.thread, thread with a capital T, and then target equals, and then the target variable. And in this case, it's my thread. So that's how we create the thread, and then we can just start it. So we have the option to stop and start our thread. Now, we technically don't need to start this until we've brought the auto clicker, but because this does so little in the background and it won't slow our program down at all, we might as well have it running from the start. So let's run a module, and this time we're actually looking at the window at the back, and we're seeing running, and this is the speed that we're going to get a cookie every time we've got the auto clicker running. So it's going to be quite slow, which is what we want because obviously we want to make this game quite balanced. So let's close that. That's perfect. So now we know that's working. We're going to get rid of our print statement, and we're actually going to start adding our functionality to our thread. So we'll keep the time.sleep in there because we want that to work. And we want to do a check that says if auto clicker brought equals true. So if we brought the auto clicker, remembering true or false has to have capital in Python. It's a bit strange like that, but as long as you remember that rule. Then what do we want to do? Well, we want to do our cookies equals cookies plus 1. Now again, we can make this a lot more powerful if we want, and under auto clicker price, we can also do auto clicker, say amount. I don't like the word amount because it mixes up with price, but I can't think of a better one. And we'll have that as 1. And then if you decide to upgrade your auto clicker, or if you want a more powerful auto clicker, we can just change that value. But at the moment, we just want it to add 1 each time. Now, the final step we have to do is we have to configure our text again, because if not, it will only update our new cookies when we click ourselves. And we want it to update every time we get a cookie. Now, there's 2 options for this. We can add it underneath as soon as we've got a new a new cookie from the auto clicker, so we can add it here. Personally, again, I'm going to add it after the if statement a bit further down, because everything's happening after a second. If we had more upgrades here, so we had an auto clicker and then we had a bakery, say, that gave us 500 cookies a second, all of this would calculate our amount, and then at the end we update it all together at the same time. This just speeds up our program a bit. It's going to make no difference in terms of the functionality of the program, it just makes it quicker. So just having one update instead of an update every single time, because the user's only going to see this one update anyway, whether we put it in every if statement or just at the end. So fingers crossed, we should now have our working program. So nothing's happening at the moment. We'll try by our auto clicker. Nothing's happened, good. We're then going to make sure we've got at least 5. It takes it away, and then you see our cookies are starting to go up one at a time every second. Now we can edit this program and make the seconds longer, or we can make it so we've got more options. I'm going to supply a worksheet with this as well, just to give you some options I want you to add, and then some examples of some additional options you can add to your game as well.